From the time I was a little girl, I had always wanted to be a nurse. While kids were playing school and library, I always wanted to play hospital. My mom talks about how I was obsessed with playing doctor. She said my favorite gift in the whole world as a little girl was never a doll or a Barbie, but was anything to do with medicine. I had a whole collection of stethoscopes, special lights and charts, and scrubs in every color. I wasn't interested in sports or dancing either. All I ever wanted to do was learn about the body and play doctor. I got a bit of a reputation around the neighborhood when I was a little girl. I was always asking all the boys and girls to play doctor, but it wasn't because I was trying to see anyone's bits. I just needed patience. I was always good at science and couldn't wait to graduate high school so I could start nursing school. I had been in all advanced placement courses in high school, so I was able to graduate a whole semester early by challenging my exams. I was able to start school earlier and couldn't wait to get started. School was expensive, but my parents had started an education fund when I was a baby, so I was lucky enough to have over $20,000 in the bank. I had enough to pay for tuition, all my books, and only work a part-time job for pocket money. I had decided to stay living at home so I could save money and get through all my schooling without having to take on any debt. Nursing school was exhausting and a little harder than I thought, but I was killing it. My grades were the top in my class, and my instructors all said they saw a lot of potential in me. I worked hard and graduated early. I had made a few good friends in nursing school, and one night we went out to celebrate. We talked about which hospitals we had heard about and where we wanted to get our first placement and in which department. We were so excited to start our careers, but little did I know, my first placement would end up being my biggest challenge. I was lucky enough to land a job at the hospital around the corner from where I lived. It was so convenient and saved me a ton of money in not having to pay for parking or gas to commute. Amanda, my one friend, had gotten her first job at a great hospital, but it was downtown. And not only did she have to commute, pay for gas, battle two-way rush hour, she also had to pay for parking. It was a ridiculous amount of money for parking, but the option of busing or taking the train was no more appealing. I was beyond lucky to land where I did. I even liked all the other nurses and so far had gotten along well with all the doctors too. I had been there for over 6 months and had really found my stride. I was handling the shift work well, and while it was tough to have to switch over onto nights or vice versa, I loved being able to help people and take care of patients. Most of the patients were nice, but there were some pretty awful ones too. Some seemed to think they were my only patient and that I had nothing but time to jump to their each and every wish. The good ones made up for the bad ones though. One night, I had an upsetting night. My favorite patient had died suddenly. It was nothing I had done, but it was still hard to take. I had gone across the street to the local watering hole for a drink after work. After I had a stiff one of the doctors from the hospital walked in. I hadn't worked with him yet, but had heard he was a bit of a womanizer. I could see how. He was tall and good-looking. He had a confidence, characteristic of doctors, that I knew a lot of women found irresistible. His eyes swept the room before they landed on me. He started to head over. I reminded myself that he was no one special, just an extremely good-looking doctor. He reached his hand over the table and said, "Hi, I'm Henry. I've seen you around the hospital. Mind if I join you?" "Not at all," I said. He asked me how I was liking working at the hospital so far and what my future plans were. We had a few drinks and a nice buzz going on. We decided to play pool, and there were definitely some flirty moments while we each leaned over the table. I was really starting to wonder about all the hospital gossip. Was he as flirty as I had heard? Was he flirting with me now, or were we just having fun? Maybe I was flirting with him. I didn't really know much. I had been such a serious kid and girl, then teenager and young woman, that I had never really made time to date. I didn't have much experience with men, and I reminded myself that this was not the place to start. I had always vowed to never get involved with someone I worked with. I was just now starting to realize how difficult that was and could get why everyone had inter-work romances. When you work all the time, where else do you meet anyone? All the nurses and doctors I knew were too tired, once they finished a shift, to try and meet someone the old-fashioned way. It was just easier to meet people at work. Plus, you had the instant ease of being able to talk about work. For people who just wanted random hookups, work was another good resource. Dr. Tony had made a big impression on me. He seemed really patient and even mentioned taking me in on a couple of his surgeries. I was still pretty new, so wasn't expecting to scrub in on a surgery for at least a few more months. Dr. Tony started out being really nice to me at work. He always popped by the nurses' station to say hi, and sometimes sat and had lunch with me. I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but it was a big deal. Most often, the nurses sat together in one lounge and the doctors in another. Dr. Tony was paying me a little too much attention, and it was getting obvious to everyone around that he was showing me favoritism. We had gone out a couple of times, but so far, I had managed to keep things pretty friendly and not more than friends. He seemed to be getting impatient though, and the word on my floor was that he wanted to move things to the next level. I was nervous when I heard that, and wasn't sure that was even what I wanted. Now I felt like I was in an awkward position though. I felt like he had taken me under his wing, and I was learning a lot from him. I worried how my career would be impacted if I was to distance myself from him. We had had plans to meet for a drink that night, and I decided to talk to him about it then. The night started off great, with each of us talking about our days and the next day's surgeries. I said to him nervously, "There's something I need to talk to you about. I'm feeling like maybe there might be a chance you are getting the wrong idea." "Is that right?" he said. I told him how much I appreciated him taking me under his wing and teaching me so much. He didn't look mad, but was intently listening to what I was saying. He said, "If that's how you feel, I'm more than happy to return to a purely mentor-student relationship." I was so relieved. We finished up our drinks and left without any residual awkwardness. The next day at work, however, Dr. Tony came right up to me with the biggest possible smile and said, "Congrats, you're on bedpan duty today." I couldn't believe it. We were supposed to do a big surgery today, and now, suddenly, I was on bedpan duty? This could not be what I thought it was. I went about my duties for the day and hoped the next day would be better. The next day, Dr. Tony came up to me and asked if I wouldn't mind assisting him. I followed him into an exam room and was surprised when I saw there was no one in the room. I looked around, not sure if I was missing something. I asked him what was going on, and he said, "I think you know exactly what is going on here." I shook my head in confusion when he grabbed me by the arms and pulled me in close to him. He pressed his lips to mine. To watch more animated story videos like this, hit that subscribe button. And tell us in the comments section what you thought about this story.